In the world of WWE, where the line between hero and villain is often as thin as a thread, there are a few superstars who spent their entire careers embodying the role of the hero. They didn't just shine through power and skill in the ring. They connected deeply with fans through integrity, charisma, and a presence that kept audiences on their feet. Some were at one point suggested to turn heel, while others came dangerously close, but ultimately, they all remained constant, true babyfaces. Let's get started. Wrestling Sphere, go! The Ultimate Warrior. The never-turned, colorful cyclone. If you were a kid glued to the TV in the late 80s or early 90s, chances are the perfect wrestler in your mind was the wild, mesmerizing figure of the Ultimate Warrior. He had everything a megastar of that era needed: a sculpted, larger-than-life physique, brightly painted face, the ability to crush opponents in mere seconds, and that electrifying guitar-driven entrance theme that instantly sent crowds into a frenzy. Warrior was a merchandise goldmine. Any shirt, armband, or mask tied to his image would fly off the shelves. While he wasn't exactly known for technical prowess in the ring, and definitely wasn't the smoothest talker, he embodied an era where image and raw energy mattered more than flawless execution. In that context, picturing him as a villain was nearly impossible. Throughout his WWE run, every time Warrior returned, he was thrust straight into top-tier storylines, facing the company's biggest and baddest heels. He didn't need to tweak his character to win fans over. The second his music hit and he sprinted down the ramp, the crowd erupted in pure excitement. Interestingly, there was a time when WWE considered turning Warrior heel to set up a major rivalry with Bret Hart. But Jim Hellwig, Warrior's real name, came back with some steep demands: a higher salary, exemption from smaller shows, and time off to pursue acting. Vince McMahon flatly refused, and the idea was dropped entirely. In truth, a heel turn for Warrior probably would have failed anyway. His colorful look, frantic intensity, and boundless energy were tailor-made to inspire joy and awe. At any point in his career, Ultimate Warrior could only ever be a hero, a vibrant whirlwind adored by kids and adults alike. Rey Mysterio, the unshakable underdog hero. If there's one WWE star who's almost impossible for fans to boo, it's Rey Mysterio. Aside from the rare moment at the 2014 Royal Rumble, when he entered at number 30 while the crowd was hoping for Daniel Bryan, Rey has always been greeted with loud cheers. That reaction wasn't because of him personally, but because of the fans' unmet expectations that night. From the moment he stepped into WWE, Rey was cast as a pure babyface. With his small frame but unmatched aerial ability, innovative in-ring style, and colorful masks, he became a symbol of uniqueness. The Biggest Little Man brought something fresh to WWE and inspired countless fans to believe that size doesn't define success in sports entertainment. Before joining WWE, Rey was already a top babyface in Mexico, ECW, and WCW. However, during WCW's chaotic final years, he briefly experimented with being a heel as part of the Filthy Animals alongside Eddie Guerrero and Billy Kidman. This short-lived run is largely forgotten because Rey was forced to remove his mask, a sacred part of his identity, and wore some bizarre outfits, even donning devil horns at one point due to Vince Russo's odd creative direction. That period faded quickly and was never considered a significant part of his legacy. Since then, Rey Mysterio has been unwavering in his portrayal of the tireless underdog hero. His sincerity, likability, and never-give-up image have made him universally beloved. With his stature, style, and legacy so tightly tied to his babyface persona, it's nearly impossible to imagine Rey ever turning heel. Chances are, he'll retire exactly as he's always been, a beloved hero in the eyes of millions of fans around the globe. Kelly Kelly, the sweetheart who could never turn heel. When Kelly Kelly made her WWE debut in the summer of 2006, she appeared on ECW TV as the on-screen girlfriend of Mike Knox, a burly heel. But even in that first moment, the contrast was crystal clear. Knox had the look of a classic villain, while Kelly radiated an irresistible mix of innocence and charm. Fans were instantly captivated by her youthful energy, making any attempt to portray her as a heel nearly impossible. The main reason she couldn't be booed stemmed from her bold early gimmick, an attractive young woman who would frequently perform by stripping in the ring. Even the notoriously harsh ECW crowd couldn't jeer at the vibrant, youthful presence lighting up the arena. Instead, Kelly was met with enthusiastic cheers, quickly becoming a weekly highlight for viewers. Her character was portrayed as a woman trapped in an abusive relationship with Knox, struggling to break free and align herself with babyfaces like CM Punk or Balls Mahoney. This storyline not only highlighted her vulnerability and need for protection, but also deepened the fans' emotional attachment to her. As a result, the idea of turning her heel never had any real place, not even on paper. Over time, Kelly evolved from a dancing beauty who caught eyes with her looks into a legitimate competitor, eventually capturing the Divas Championship. Throughout her journey, she maintained her cheerful, friendly image, always smiling, always giving her all for the WWE Universe. At the time, the company even positioned Kelly as the embodiment of the all-American girl. Blonde hair, blue eyes, beautiful and radiant, a combination that made the idea of turning her heel even harder to imagine. If Barbie Blank, Kelly's real name, were ever to return to WWE, both she and the company would have to rework her character to fit the women's evolution era, which has reshaped the perception of female wrestlers entirely. But regardless of any future changes, in the minds of fans, Kelly will forever remain a sweet icon, someone who could never truly become a villain in WWE's ever-changing world of shocking turns. Bruno Sammartino, the living legend who defined babyface. In WWE history, few names have remained as consistently and flawlessly babyface as Bruno Sammartino. He wasn't just a wrestler, he was a cultural icon for Italian immigrants in America, especially in tradition-rich cities like New York and Philadelphia. With his humble lifestyle and approachable demeanor, Bruno became a man of the people, someone fans could relate to and admire. His legendary journey began with an unforgettable moment, defeating Nature Boy Buddy Rogers in just 48 seconds to win the World Championship at Madison Square Garden. That victory shocked the wrestling world and marked the beginning of Bruno's era of dominance. From then on, Madison Square Garden became his home, selling out for years every time he stepped into the ring. During his record-setting first title reign of 7 years, 8 months, and 1 day, Bruno toppled virtually every major heel of his time. What set him apart wasn't just his physical strength or solid wrestling style, but his unwavering honesty and integrity. He never cheated, never took shortcuts, and always upheld the image of a pure hero in front of fans. That consistency made him a symbol of trust and inspiration for millions. When he eventually lost the title, Bruno didn't fade away. He came back stronger, regained the championship, and held it for another 3 years. No heel could overcome the massive fan support that surrounded him. Bruno represented faith, integrity, and resilience, the exact values his audience found in him. Outside the ring, Sammartino was the definition of a gentleman. On the microphone, he was sincere and humble, never boastful. Even during an era when WWE saw countless babyface to heel turns, Bruno stayed true to one image, the eternal hero. He set the gold standard for what a babyface should be, and that legacy continues to inspire generations of wrestlers to this day. Goldberg, a steel muscle machine built to be a hero. Goldberg's arrival in WCW was nothing short of a phenomenon. Trained at the power plant and coming from an NFL background, he entered the wrestling world as a rookie but quickly became a global sensation. His short, explosive squash matches, where he demolished opponents in minutes, created an unstoppable aura. Over time, WCW built his character into a dominant, undefeated machine, a true warrior. At his peak, Goldberg's popularity rivaled Stone Cold Steve Austin's in WWE during the Monday Night Wars. Fans packed arenas just to chant, "Goldberg! Goldberg!" as he made his intense walk to the ring. But WCW's biggest misstep was trying to turn him heel. The turn failed to connect with fans and only diluted his natural appeal. Goldberg himself often spoke out against the decision, knowing full well that being a babyface was true to both his character and his personality. When he joined WWE, Goldberg immediately returned to his heroic role. In later years, his relationship with some fans became more complicated during his short comeback runs, but fundamentally, he was still presented as the powerhouse babyface who crushed everything in his path. Even when booed, his angry reactions were natural responses, not actual heel turns. Goldberg wasn't just a human tank inside the ring. Outside of it, he was active in charity work, especially with children, which further strengthened his positive image. That's why it's hard to imagine Goldberg ever truly becoming a villain. Such a portrayal would feel unnatural and run counter to everything he built. For Goldberg, being a hero wasn't just an act, it was his essence. Jim Duggan, the flag of patriotism that never lowered. In professional wrestling, Aligning your character with patriotism doesn't automatically guarantee lifelong fan support. WWE history has shown that clearly. Sergeant Slaughter once shocked the entire nation by turning his back on the American flag and siding with Iraq during the Gulf War. Even Hulk Hogan, the immortal symbol of red, white, and blue, famously abandoned his all-American image to don the black and white of the New World Order, becoming one of the most despised villains in the business. Jim Duggan, better known as Hacksaw, was a rare exception. In the early years of his career in Mid-South Wrestling, he played a heel as part of the Rat Pack stable. But once he arrived in WWE, Duggan became the embodiment of the classic babyface. With his trademark 2x4 in hand and his thunderous "huh" chant echoing through arenas, he tied his image to enthusiasm, optimism, and unwavering American pride. However, his path wasn't without setbacks. In 1987, Duggan's arrest alongside the Iron Sheik for driving under the influence sent shockwaves through the industry. It wasn't just the legal issue, it shattered kayfabe, the delicate line between fiction and reality that wrestling had always tried to protect. The incident significantly damaged his standing for a time. After his WWE run wound down, Duggan spent a stint in WCW, where he was unexpectedly forced into the heel Team Canada faction. Fans never truly accepted the change, having long associated him with honesty, simplicity, and likability. When he returned to WWE in the 2000s, Duggan appeared as a living relic, a reminder of an era when USA chants roared through packed arenas. He was no longer a top star but remained deeply respected by the audience. Outside the ring, his genuine and friendly personality only reinforced his babyface legacy. Interestingly, with his booming voice and tough guy demeanor, Duggan could have made a compelling villain under different circumstances. But history had other plans. He became, and remained, a hero in the eyes of fans, a symbol of straightforwardness and patriotic spirit. Koko B. Ware, the colorful Birdman who never turned bad. Who could possibly boo someone like Koko B. Ware? The answer is almost certainly no one. The Birdman always brought fun, warmth, and vibrant energy to the ring. With his colorful parrot Frankie perched on his shoulder, flashy attire, spontaneous dance moves, and light-hearted spirit, Koko became a true entertainer in WWE. Fans, especially children, couldn't help but love his upbeat presence. Before joining WWE, Koko's career took a different path. In Memphis, he performed as Sweet Sugar Brown, a bald-headed heel managed by Jimmy Hart, frequently feuding with Jerry Lawler. But with his naturally cheerful personality and quick, high-energy in-ring style, being a villain never truly fit him. When he arrived in WWE, he was immediately presented as a pure babyface, bringing excitement to fans even when featured in opening matches. Although he never broke into the main event scene, Koko carved out a lasting place in fans' hearts with his unique character. He'd high-five fans on his way to the ring, flap his arms like a bird, and radiate joy every time he performed. Notably, during his WWE run, there was only one instance where he briefly portrayed a heel, against Tito Santana at Madison Square Garden, a match later released on Coliseum Home Video's Super Tape Volume 4. That night, fans saw a rare aggressive, even underhanded side of Koko. But it was clearly a one-off experiment that didn't stick. In the end, the Birdman remained a pure babyface, a vibrant, positive presence in WWE's intense world. To fans, Koko was the joyful birdsong amid the chaos. Ricky Steamboat, the flame that never flickered. What made Ricky, the Dragon Steamboat, one of WWE's purest babyfaces was his extraordinary ability to sell. He could turn a seemingly simple strike into a moment that made the entire arena hold its breath. Every time he took a hit, Steamboat didn't just fall. He conveyed pain and danger so convincingly that audiences genuinely believed he was on the brink of collapse. His secret was studying boxing matches closely, mimicking how real fighters reacted to blows, and integrating that realism into wrestling. That attention to detail created a deep emotional connection with the crowd. Everyone wanted to see Ricky overcome adversity. Beyond his selling skills, Steamboat had the perfect babyface look, a kind, handsome face, a well-balanced physique, and a wrestling style that blended technical precision with breathtaking aerial maneuvers. He became the prototype of a heroic figure, entering every match with confidence and determination, leaving a lasting mark on fans everywhere. He was also fortunate to have the perfect rivals to elevate his legacy. His classic series with Ric Flair set the standard for technical wrestling. Against Jake, the Snake Roberts, Jake's cunning villainy highlighted Ricky's integrity. And of course, his legendary clash with Macho Man Randy Savage at WrestleMania 3 remains one of the greatest matches of all time. Whether in WWE, NWA, or WCW, Steamboat was always a symbol of honor. At one point, Ricky briefly considered a heel turn. But creative legend Pat Patterson advised him against it, joking, "Even if you took a chainsaw to Bret Hart in the middle of the ring, the crowd still wouldn't boo you." And he was right. With his kind eyes, honorable lifestyle, and high-energy performance, Steamboat was inseparable from the image of a hero. He was, and still is, the eternal flame in fans' hearts, a light that was never dimmed by darkness. Rob Van Dam, WWE's laid-back hero. From the moment Rob Van Dam arrived in WWE during the 2001 WCW-ECW invasion, he was introduced as a hated invader. But interestingly, the crowd just couldn't bring themselves to boo him. Within weeks, RVD went from a supposed heel to one of the most popular stars on the roster. The reason was simple. His style was far too unique to be hated. The whole FN show brought an energy to WWE that few could match. His pinpoint leaps, gravity-defying aerial moves, carefree attitude, blunt way of speaking, and rugged look made him an instant phenomenon. RVD was a breath of fresh air in a landscape full of familiar characters, and the fans immediately embraced him as someone they wanted to cheer for. Before that, in ECW, Rob Van Dam did spend time playing a heel. Under the nickname Mr. Monday Night, he arrogantly bragged that he belonged in WWE rather than the smaller Philadelphia-based promotion. But his explosive in-ring performances and incredible athleticism made it impossible for him to stay a villain. The ECW faithful ended up cheering him louder than anyone else, right up until the company's final days. In WWE, Van Dam was almost exclusively portrayed as a babyface. Whether creative kept him in the mid-card or pushed him to the main event scene, the WWE Universe always showered him with love. That loyalty was on full display at One Night Stand 2006, when RVD defeated John Cena to capture the WWE Championship in front of a wildly partisan crowd, a historic moment that proved fans would always rally behind him. When RVD returned in 2013, WWE actually considered turning him heel by pairing him with Paul Heyman to add depth to his character. But Van Dam refused. To him, he had always been, and always would be, a hero. And in truth, the fans only ever wanted to see him hitting his iconic 5-star frog splash as a fan favorite, not betraying their trust. Tito Santana, the ever-loyal hero. If Ricky Steamboat is remembered as the ultimate pure babyface, Tito Santana stands right beside him in that same role. Throughout his long WWE career, Tito never crossed over to the dark side. In fact, he once expressed interest in turning heel to refresh his character, but that opportunity never came. The reason was obvious. Tito had every quality of a classic good guy. He was technically sound, told clear good versus evil stories in the ring, and had a natural ability to sell in a way that made fans root for his comebacks. Watching Tito get beaten down only to rally at the perfect moment would ignite the crowd every time, the mark of a true babyface. To both his peers and WWE management, Tito was the model utility player. He could open shows, work tag matches, wrestle singles bouts, or compete for championships, and he'd always deliver. Even though he never held the world title, he left his mark by winning the Tag Team Championship with Strikeforce and capturing the Intercontinental Championship. The biggest turning point of his career came when Strikeforce split. Tito pitched the idea of a heel turn to Vince McMahon, but instead, Vince gave that role to Rick Martel, transforming him into the arrogant model. Santana, meanwhile, was repackaged as El Matador, a bullfighter character aimed at connecting with Spanish-speaking audiences. WWE even considered making El Matador a top champion to expand their market, a sign of Tito's lasting appeal. Ultimately, however, that spot went to Bret Hart, who became the company's new face. Despite that, Tito Santana never lost his shine. He remains remembered as one of the most reliable babyfaces of WWE's golden era, a loyal hero who never turned his back on the fans. Sting, the unwavering symbol of justice. The name Sting is practically synonymous with hero in wrestling fans' minds. Although his legendary career mostly unfolded in WCW, when he finally arrived in WWE in 2014, his babyface aura remained intact. He didn't need elaborate promos or antics to get over. Just stepping out with his iconic black and white face paint was enough to send the crowd into a frenzy. Sting's inability to turn heel in WWE stemmed from both his legacy and circumstances. As the franchise of WCW, he was the man who stood alone against the NWO during its most chaotic era. So when he debuted in WWE, he was framed as a symbol of integrity, standing up to Triple H and the Authority. That image was so strong and clear that no storyline could have realistically convinced fans to see him as a villain. On top of that, given his age and legendary status when he joined, there was no need for character experiments. He arrived as an immortal hero, celebrated by the fans. Even in his loss to Triple H at WrestleMania 31, he stood tall and received a hero's ovation. In WWE, Sting wasn't just another performer, he was a symbol of an entire era. He proved that some people are simply born to be heroes, and no matter where they go, fans will never accept them as anything else. And those are the faces forever tied to the role of babyfaces in WWE. If you enjoyed this list, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any upcoming videos from Wrestling Sphere.